Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. I'm literally recording this in the minutes before it posts to the channel, so it's as fresh a video as you've seen from me in a while. Just wanted to do what I do every year of late, and I just wanted to reflect a little bit on the year that was, and what I'm looking forward to in the coming year. And it's 2025 was a wild one in many ways, because it certainly was a mess in the bigger picture. We're not going to talk about that, but you know, if you know, you know. Now, as far as like personally, it was a very up and down year. I continued on my mental health journey, continued to heal and grow and learn about myself and human interaction and all that fun stuff, to some positive results, which we'll get to that, because I'm going to try to go chronologically for the most part. But it was also a rough year. I have never felt more poor than I have this year. I have struggled financially the entire year. It all started back in early March, when taxes and tags for the car and renewing my driver's license and getting new tires and an oil change all happened at the same time, and I never recovered. Like, I was just scrambling the rest of the year to have money. I started donating plasma in late March as a result, and that's kind of been, unfortunately, often my source of food. It's been a rough year in the financial realm. So here's to a better 2026 in that regard. Entertainment wise, I didn't play enough games this year, from this year to be able to do my usual, game of the year sort of stuff. Like, I never haven't done the full-fledged thing in a while. But when I sit and I look at the stuff that I posted videos of and the stuff that I know I completed and whatnot, this year, as good as it was in gaming, just wasn't a year that I got my hands on a lot of the new stuff. And, again, money being part of that problem. I was limited to basically playing only new stuff on Game Pass. So I didn't get the usual breadth of games to play. Everything I played was, generally older. I did get my hands on a few of this year's games, so like I do have a short like top 5, in no specific order. Arc Raiders, which obviously I love if you've been paying attention to the channel. South of Midnight was one of my favorite games of the whole year. Everything about that game just hit with me. Ball Pit, which we did a playtest of a little bit ago, that was just a fun, mindless game that I could just play when I didn't want to play anything more taxing. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered, it was my first time playing through the whole game. I loved that. And then Doom the Dark Ages surprised me. I know there's all this talk in the gaming world about like Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, and other games. I liked the design of Expedition, but I just the gameplay didn't click with me. And I'll admit, it's because I was terrible at the timing of the parries and the dodges. Like, the combat sucked for me because I could not get that mechanic down. If they ever put out like what is ostensibly a story mode where you could just see the story, I'm in. I did not care for the actual combat, which sucks because I wanted to love it. And then there's some others like The Altars, Outer Worlds 2 that I enjoyed, but I haven't played enough of to be like, yeah, it's one of my favorite games of the year. Movies wise, it occurred to me just a couple days ago that I have not seen a single movie that was made in 2025 or released in 2025. Because I don't have most of the streaming services. I don't have Netflix. I don't have Paramount, HBO Max, any of that stuff. So, like, I was excited yesterday when I found out that Sinners is on Amazon Prime, and so is the new Naked Gun movie. Big fan of the originals. So probably today I might sit down and watch some movies from 2025, but to this point I have not seen anything from 2025, which is hilarious. I usually watch quite a lot of stuff. Like I haven't seen any of the Marvel movies that came out this year because I don't have Disney Plus. It's just not been a year for movies for me, which is weird because I've always been a movie guy. Largely can be said about TV shows too. My entertainment has largely been broken down this year into the stuff I do here, which includes video games and books. And then if I'm watching something, it's probably like Critical Role or something Critical Role adjacent or similar, actual plays or discussions about tabletop RPGs, because that's my primary focus. I mean, you can see it behind me. Books wise, I just posted earlier this morning, not on the OrNERDic channel, but on the or not on the OrNERDic blog, but the an OrNERDnary Life blog. I posted my read list for 2025. I've been doing this for the last several years, where every book I read, I put on a list. And then, sometimes I go back and figure out, hey, these are my favorite books of the year. I'm going to do that this year, too, but I just haven't got to it yet. I read 181 books this year. Read, for the pedantic a-holes out there that think that audiobooks don't count. As someone with really terrible ADHD, audiobooks help me work. When I'm doing my real job, my earning of a living, I always have an audiobook in the ear. And as long as I'm not on the phone or in a meeting or whatever, I have an audiobook playing. And it helps me focus on my task, and I get to hear a story. And because my brain typically works faster than the narrator, I can bump up the speed if they're talking too slowly. I have listened to a book or two this year at 2.5 speed, just to get through slow plotting narration. As I said, I spent a lot of this year working on myself. I continued to better my mental health. I continued to better my physical health. In fact, at one point this year, I was under 200 pounds. I got down to 198 in the summer. But then the stress that hit in the fall, I'm going to blame the stress because my doctor said I could. The stress of late year when the financial troubles got the worst, I inched back up. I currently sit at 212 as of yesterday morning. So, still the lightest I've been since I was 19. So, I got to call that a win. And then, socially, this was a very big year for me because back in February, my best friend Jenny, who has been on various projects that I've done back when I had like the podcast and stuff, and at some point we'll probably show her face on here next time I see her, because we meant to do it back in February, but she had work training up at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, in the Dayton area. So for the first time in 20 years, we got to spend time together that wasn't on the phone. So that was fantastic. That was the highlight of my year for most of the year. She had her class, I had to work, but then the afternoons and evenings were all ours, and we went to places that she's never eaten at. I took her to my favorite ice cream place up there in Yellow Springs. We, ran some errands together, domestic nonsense, basically, but, like, it was just good to have my best friend, like, because she's truly my best friend now. She's always been in my, like, top 3, but this year, one of the sadder things that happened was my all-time favorite person decided that to better their journey, that we were no longer going to be friends after our relationship ended 4 years ago. So that happened around the same time. In fact, the same week. I was overjoyed. I had my 20-year plus best friend, in town, and then someone who was largely important to me said, "Hey, I got to go no contact. I can't do this. I know I promised we'd be friends, but I can't after 4 years of being broken up." That sucked. That was a heavy blow. But I got over it. And that in itself also inspired me to continue my journey, and I started dating again this year. I've been trying for a couple years to date and just having no success, but this year I had success. Back in April, late March, early April, around the time that the money problem really started, unfortunately, I met a woman and we went on a couple dates, 3 dates as a matter of fact, and we had a good time. We got along. Honestly, we still talk on occasion, very rarely, but still. It just wasn't right, and we parted after the 3rd date, and a couple months later we did 3 more dates, and again parted after the 3rd date. So 6 dates over like a 4-month period. That just wasn't in the cards. Very talented woman, does some really cool art stuff, but the romance just wasn't going to romance for long. And back in November, early November, late October, early November, I went on another first date, and that one I was really, really excited about because she reminded me of all of my favorite people in one. But when we got together, like, we had a week of like just daily talking and having these really great conversations. But when we got face to face, the chemistry wasn't there mutually. I liked her, and I'll leave it at that. But almost immediately after that, I met several people and whittled it down to just one through conversation. And Heather is now my girlfriend. So in the last month and a half, I've found a girlfriend, and for the first time in almost 5 years. So that's fantastic. Things are going good. They're going slow. She's a single mom. I'm a single dad, but my kids are older. They're basically adults. The 2 of them actually are. But we talk almost every day, and when we have time, we have seen each other. But that's only been a little bit. That's a fairly new relationship. But I'm very excited to go into this brand new year of 2026 with the potential for a lasting relationship. That's fantastic. Those of you that know me know that I'm very much a guy who loves love, and so this is exciting. So for me this year, that's what this year is going to be about. It's going to be about continued growth. It's going to be about financial stability. I'm going to get back to good standing with money. If the economy would sort itself out and, things would quit being so goddamn expensive, I would be in a really good place financially. I make decent money, or what was decent money, until everything got upside down. So I would like to get some sort of financial stability back under my feet and continue to grow my new relationship here with Heather. Maybe travel at some point. I owe Jenny a visit down in Texas still. Hopefully maybe she can find her way back up here too, because that would be great. She really wants to meet my new girl, because they're very similar. And I want to get back to streaming. I think I've said this every year, but I haven't streamed since the middle of 2023 on Twitch. And I hate that I've not been able to get it to work since then because of internet issues. I don't know what it is. I haven't been able to figure it out yet. Truthfully, I haven't devoted a lot of time to figuring it out. But I think this year is the year I need to do that. I need to sit down and figure out why the streaming isn't working. What setting changed? What happened? I call my internet provider or whatever. Because I've had texts come out twice, and then they're like, "Yeah, it's the problem's on our end," but like, that's been 2 years, almost 3 now. Like, I want to be able to live stream again. I miss that. I miss, like, as much as I love pre-recording these videos and putting them here on the YouTube. I miss the small little cozy community I was building. Like, not just because I was making a little bit of money, but because which would help that financial goal, but also because it's nice to have the immediate feedback. It's if something's wrong with the video, like if the audio's off or there's an issue, someone's there to say, "Hey, there's a problem." Because as has happened a number of times in the last couple of years as I've done these pre-recorded videos, there's been times where something's wrong with the video and I have no idea until I post it. Which, I could fix that by looking at the video beforehand, but I don't have time for that. I have to record and post. I really want to get back to streaming. I'm going to continue to read. I'm going to continue my physical and mental health journey. I just hope for the best for us. I know things are rough for a lot of people in a lot of ways, and they don't look like at the onset here that they're going to get better anytime soon. Again, if you follow American politics and stuff that's going on with the healthcare system here and all of that, and wages and everything, it doesn't look good, but I got to remain positive. I spent too much of my life being depressed and literally wanting to that I can't let outside forces ruin things for me, but I'm also a realist, and I realize we got some rough road ahead of us. But even recognizing that things are rough, I still feel good coming into this year. So I'm hoping for a fantastic 2026. I'm hoping yours is good too. Strangers on the internet. Stay tuned to the channel. I'm going to be doing lots of stuff like I always do with my downtime. I'm going to do more TTRPG stuff this year, too. We started doing that real heavy this year. Not real heavy. Heavier this year. I started talking more about TTRPG stuff. I have a bunch of stuff that I've had in my head that I just want to talk about, and I've not gotten around to it. We're going to do more of that this year, too. So, stay tuned, please. Just stay tuned. Enjoy the ride with me, if you will. And I'll see you in the next one.